Hello. So my name's Mike, and I'm making a video for the benefit of the Roland AIRA what we called the Roland AIRA patch exchange. It's for the EFX modules. Yeah, I posted at the weekend that I'd wondered if actually behind the scenes the customizer software was communicating with the EFX modules using sysex. I since found out it is, and I think I've found a couple of awesome benefits of that, ways that I'm gonna use myself and have some fun with. I'm a little bit jaded because this is the second attempt at this video. Videos that I don't normally make. This is certainly because I'm excited about sharing this particular thing. So anyway, motivate myself. Let's capture the audio this time and see how we go. Yes, I'm going to be using a few pieces of software. I'm going to be using modular customizer, obviously. That's hooked up. It's going to be hooked up in various ways, but to a Roland Demora. I'm using a Demora to test with. Shame I haven't got another camera to show you me interacting with a Demora, but doesn't matter. I'm going to be using this free software called Bohm's MIDI Translator Classic, and I might mention a limitation of that might be overcome by purchasing the Pro version, and some free sysex capture software also by Bohm called sysex, and a virtual MIDI port by Tobias Eriksson called Loop MIDI. That's my housemate coming in. Right, so let's begin then. Right, so here we go. So to familiarise yourself with the customizer, really knows how this works. That dumps the current patch. This gets the settings from the Demora. In my case, currently the Demora is set to default. Let me just disconnect it all. Let me put a filter in there. Right, I have got an internal MIDI port called MIDI aux in. We're not using VST host, so MIDI aux in. It's just you type the name of the port, you press plus, you've got a virtual port to route MIDI to. Close. Here we go. The customizer software is receiving input directly from my Demora using the Roland AIRA modular driver, but instead of communicating directly with the Demora, it's going to via my virtual MIDI port called MIDI aux in. Confusingly, I won't be sending it to MIDI aux, I'll be sending it to Bohm MIDI Translator Classic and sysex. I don't think there's any problem with sending it to both. Let me just check. So here we go. We're not using MIDI out, we're not transmitting sysex, but we are receiving sysex on MIDI aux in. That's fine, that shouldn't have any conflict. And we haven't opened MIDI Translator. What if I had? Purchase, reminder, blah blah. Ooh. Close. We're going to start fresh. MIDI in from MIDI aux in, MIDI out, AIRA modular, MIDI through. Not using that yet. Right, so apologies, slow start, but it does get somewhere. This is just to show that you move the cutoff, generates MIDI, sysex. Not amazing stuff, but let me show you this then. So let me load a patch. Demora concept. This is a square oscillator controlled from USB MIDI, and then I've got an amp ADSR and a filter ADSR. Let's see if we can make it make noise. Output to the modular run. Blub, 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 blub. But there you go, you know how that works. Let's show you how to capture a patch in MIDI Translator Classic. Now we're not going to use a sequencer in a minute, we're going to clear that. So we know that that dumps the patch. If I dump the patch, it should give me 3 bursts of sysex. There we go. You can tell I've just done this. Right, let's take that first line. Copy. I hope this is recording. Yeah, seems to be. Oh, look, I've got 3 instances. Oh my goodness. Let's sort this out. I'll leave that one. Amateur hour. No. This is all my stuff from the failed attempt earlier. Spoilers. No, I don't want to. I do want to quit, and I don't want to save. Oh my goodness, I still got to. Do you really want to quit? Yeah. Right, sorry. Okay. Now, obviously, when you first get this, you want to get your stuff hooked up right. So it's listening to the output of the modular customizer. It's outputting it back to my Demora, and as I move stuff in the customizer, it's MIDI throughing it to the Demora. That's the setup I've got. In MIDI Translator Classic Speak, if you've not used it before, it's got presets that can be active or inactive, and each preset can have lots of different things called translations. Translations might be converting one input to one output, or it might be doing other stuff, but it'll make sense. So let's call this patch 1. At this stage, let me just make an incoming translator called sysex. Line 1 makes sense to me at the moment. I didn't call it that last time, but whatever. Forget incoming for now. When this gets triggered, it's going to output a MIDI message. That MIDI message is what I've just captured. It's the first line of the dump from the customizer. That's in. Now we need line 2. Shall I duplicate it? Yep. Line 2. Copy. That's in. Paste isn't working. It's line 2. Line 3. brain aberration. Did I copy it? No, I didn't. Copy. I just love it when you shortcuts cease working. Okay. So we've got this preset called patch 1. We can have a million different patches. When something happens, it sends sysex line 1, sysex line 2, sysex line 3. That something, that incoming action that's going to make it send that, is going to be when we choose this preset. So the incoming action that fires the sysex is the current preset is activated. Next one, same. The incoming trigger is that the current preset is activated. Next translator for line 3, the incoming trigger is that the current is activated. So that took a little bit of time. I haven't found a way to speed that up yet. This is all sort of raw stuff that I've only just started messing with. But what we do, let's turn this patch off. If we blank out our Demora or our Torcido or our bit raiser, save changes to the Demora concept now. So that Demora should have a blank default Demora patch. Check that by getting the current settings. Yeah, it's blank. We know that a blank Demora won't play my synth patch when I start running it. So there we go. That proves it's blank. In theory, if I activate this patch, I have remotely sent a saved patch in sysex to my Demora. So I'll hit that and I'll look expectantly to the MIDI activity on my Demora. Something went. Get the current settings. It would appear it worked. My patch is in my Demora. Let's play some synthy. Okay, so one thing that's cool, we might want to save multiple articulations of that patch, and if we did want to do that, we would duplicate the preset, we would change the articulation. It wouldn't have to be an articulation, it could be a completely new patch, but let's get going again and make a different noise. That's definitely a different noise. Anyway, we're not here to mess about with noises. So in the same way, let's just capture those 3 lines of patch. Clear, dump the patch. There's the patch in sysex. We've got a new preset. Let's put them in one by one. Line 1. Can't do Control-C because my laptop's playing silly buggers. Right, line 1 output is now that. Oh, I can't paste either. Cheers. Right, close. Line 2, which is massive, bigger. Copy. Line 2 outgoing. Hampered, but we'll persevere. Line 3. my goodness. Right, let me know if you solve why it's not letting me copy and paste shortcuts. Okay, so let me show you a quick thing. So I'm going to add to each of these presets a little nicety. We're going to add another one, and I call this one select. And it just means we don't end up with two patches or articulations ticked at the same time. And all you do, you say, when I activate this preset, I want you to I guess this doesn't make sense. I want you to activate what we've just activated. It's in essence do nothing, but here's the important bit: deactivate all the other ones, so nothing else will be ticked. And I should just better copy and paste that if it's going to have it. So in this articulation, put them to the top if you've got OCD. So if I've done that right, I tick one, tick the other. Ooh. Oh, that's why you don't copy and paste, because you just went wrong. So in copy of patch, we need to activate copy of patch. Alright, so now we can only ever have one active. So that, all things being even, should be sending the first patch. So if I say get current, is that my first patch? This is where the demoing goes a bit iffy. That should have sent the second patch, or the second articulation. I can't see anything changing. I could have fouled something up with a copy and pasting, but it doesn't seem to be. Oh, this is what I did last time. So patch one. Let's try it using my ears. The copies sound different to that. Well, that's madness. So it is working. Even though if I get them settings, I can't see it reflected in the knobs. Oh, it moved then. Right, let me see what is. So patch one is that. Oh, whatever, it's working anyway. Stop. Okay, so apologies. It didn't look like it was working, but it is. So what have we done? We've copied, we've captured the sysex dump of one patch, and we've shown how to trigger it from Bohm's MIDI Translator manually with the mouse, and how to capture another articulation or a different patch and send that. So if nothing more, you can use MIDI Translator Classic as a librarian if this ever stops working in Windows Alpha, Turbo Edition, or whatever comes out next after 10. That's one thing. And that's cool, but of course you don't have to select presets with the mouse. So it's got something called an always active preset, and in my always active preset I could have something called select patch 1. And I could say, when incoming MIDI message controller 2 is 1. So when MIDI controller on channel 1 is 1, activate patch 1, deactivate all others. Don't see why that would be a problem. And I could duplicate that. I could call it and we're going to say when MIDI controller 2 on channel 1 is 2, choose my second articulation, always active is always active. That's manually changing articulations. Now I don't have a breath controller attached to show you, but in theory now we're remotely changing patches live. So yeah, you get how that works. So that's cool. That is, people have talked about pattern changes and automating them on forums and the AIRA Patch Exchange Facebook page. So this seems to let you do it. Yeah, hopefully that made sense. So the other thing I wanted to look into, and this is exciting as well I think, is not just sending complete patches. So with this we capture the full patch and we can automate sending patches, blah 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 blah. But I've come up with this other concept posh, and what I'm calling them is Grffis schemas. So Grffis schema 1. What I proposed was, wouldn't it be good if we could remotely choose different assignments of the griffer pots to the griffer pots 1, 2, 3, 4 to different parameters. So obviously when you make a patch, you've got your configurations. So you might have something nice going on, and you might have griffer 1 changing your cutoff, and you might have griffer 2 changing your filter ADSR release, and so on and so on. But what if at the touch of a button we could make all 4 griffer pots do the ADSR, or choose a different schema and have all 4 griffer pots change your oscillator section settings. Put my teeth back in. So I think I've made it do it. So Grffis Scheme 1, for argument's sake, let's say Grffis 1 controls OSC colour. Let's give ourselves a bit of space there. The concept's exactly the same, but we're only going to capture the sysex concerned with patching. It shouldn't, I don't want it to change any of the patch I'm working on. I only want it to change what the Griffis are assigned to. So hopefully this works. Let's clear our sysex in buffer. What we want to capture is the sysex required to patch Grffis 1 to oscillator colour, which we have there. Copy that. Okay. So we set this up in the same way. Let's first have a translator in Bohm speak. We'll call it setup Griffis. We'll call it setup Griffer because it's only changing one at this stage. Like we did before, the incoming action, the thing that sends any output, will be activating the preset. The output we've just captured from send SX, and the output is going to be this MIDI message, and that's good. The next thing, now it occurred to me when I'm changing Griffis schemas, it'd get confused, because if I switch to a different Griffis schema now, where Grffis 2 is patched to ADSR release for the amp, it would still leave Grffis 1 patched to OS colour. So I just think it's tidier if changing schemas puts us back to a clean slate. So what I do is I set up a translator called Reset Griffis. I don't know. Doesn't matter what you call these. So no. This is the opposite of the above action. So all it's going to do is reset that one griffer. So let's capture the sysex. Clear. What we want to capture is just unpatching colour from Grffis 1. It should just be that. My mouse button got stuck then, that was tense. Right. Copy. Reset Griffis. Let's quickly we know it's going to get activated when we tick this box. We've got the code that it's MIDI the sysex it's going to send. I've just told a lie. You don't want to be setting up. You don't want to be patching it when you activate the preset and then unpatching it straight away when you activate the preset. The incoming action for this is going to be when you deactivate Griffis Schema 1. So apologies, another mistake. So where are we? We've got it's similar to it works exactly like patches or articulations, but all it does, you can have up to 6, I guess, setup translators to do 4 Griffis and 2 buttons, and then you would have 6 opposites that when you leave the preset, it unpatches all your Griffis, gives you a level playing field. mine's gone blank. So, oh yeah, what we need to do is put the exclusivity sort of activate thing on here, because whether it's a schema or a patch, I'm calling it select data, selecty. I think I'm calling it select. Yeah. Oh, that one's called select. That one's called select. That's my always active, which we're using for automation, but we're not using because we haven't demoed it. But whatever. So select. If you remember, the purpose of this is just when I select this preset, untick all the others. Well, for clarity's sake, of course, yeah, we're selecting this preset, but don't untick all the others. So now patch 1, ignore always active, has been sent to the Demora. Articulation 2 has been sent to the Demora. At the moment, if I get the current settings, Grffis 1 isn't patched. Hopefully, if I choose Griffis Scheme 1, that should have patched Grffis 1 to colour. Sweet. So off we go, playing our groovy thing. Now I'm turning Grffis 1, you'll have to trust me. I've pulse width modulated and I've put it back. And conversely, when I activate this, deactivate this, it should reset that Grffis so that Grffis 1 is unpatched. So I've unselected and we've unpatched. So hopefully that illustrates the point. I know I've not gone to the bother of doing a full 4 Griffis in one schema to another 4 Griffis in another schema. Hopefully there's no barriers to that, because that would be cool. So you know what I'm talking about. So you press a key on, you're playing live, you press a key on your MIDI keyboard, and the 4 nice pots of your Demora is freaking your oscillator, and you press another key and the 4 pots are messing with your filter. That is cool, albeit you need your PC or Mac with you, because, well, I'm only doing this on a PC, but because it's not class compliant, and to get USB MIDI into it, you need your computer, which is unfortunate, but still this gives us a lot of scope. I guess the last thing I want to touch on is, it would be nice if we could just do a straight MIDI controller to parameter map, and the long answer is yes, we can, but the blocker is this free version of MIDI Translator doesn't have the functionality, but the paid version does have. So for argument's sake, what am I doing? We've got a translator called mod wheel to cut off. It wouldn't be in there. So if you're starting to figure this out better than me, you're being in your always active. You wouldn't generally want a controller mapping to be dependent on any schema or any patch. Probably, yeah, you would. Okay, I take it back, because you might not have that module and that parameter. So let's associate it back with patch 1. Yep. So mod wheel is when we get an incoming MIDI message on channel 1 mod wheel. PP is a variable. It means whatever the incoming value is. Yeah. So it tells you channel 1 modulation controller, whatever value. We're going to remap that to a MIDI message. Now the MIDI message, what did I say to cut off? This is where we come up against an issue called what I believe we need someone that's good with their Roland sysex or sysex in general, because I'm just new to this. But there we see you see that this isn't the best tool to illustrate the fact. Bohm MIDI Translator Classic has something cool called Capture MIDI. So the outgoing message, it's quite intelligent as well, as you'll see. If I move that, it shows you, I'm pointing to the screen thinking you can see it, but if you look here, it shows you the MIDI message, and it shows you the parts that are variable. So you see PP and QQ. PP is actually the parameter value, so that's going from 0 to 64, which is, why did it change to 40? Oh, my wrist cramping. 64, which is decimal 127, I believe. Now that would be fine, that would be all she wrote, because what you'd do is you'd put the variable in. So modulation, any modulation value on channel 1 changes the parameter value of the cutoff in this patch. Bosh, should be done. But then we've got this issue of the Roland checksum. I believe that's what it is. Now the Roland checksum does a calculation to verify the integrity of that sysex message. It's documented on the internet in various places, but on the Bohm forum, what you would do in the pro version, before the output stage, you put a little expression. So you would say, well, it doesn't really matter at this stage, but it shows you how to do it, essentially. I haven't tried it. You get a 20-minute preview of the pro version. I'm just going to buy it shortly and just crack on, and I'm sure they can help me get it going. But that I'm very hopeful that controller assignments to AIRA sysex parameters is possible, but the simplest way is this Bohm MIDI Translator Pro, and there will be other ways. So let's discuss other ways. I'm all for free stuff. If we can find the free software to do it, that's cool as well. So there, that was my harebrained ideas to try and get a bit more control over these AIRA EFX modules using system exclusive. And this idea of MIDI automated patch or articulation changes is cool. I'm going to make great use of that. And this manual or MIDI automated switching of Griffis schemas, of what the Griffis are patched to, that's cool. Let's have some fun with that. Let's discuss the pros and cons. But yeah, sorry, this is my first video. Well, it's my second attempt at filming my first video. I don't really have a sign off or anything like that, so let's talk about it. It would make me happy if we could talk about it and use it and make it better and give it to people that can do good stuff with it. So thank you. Speak later.